So, dear students, in short, we are going to discuss the chapter 4, and the name of this chapter is Arto's concept. So, in Arto's concept, first of all, let me see what is Arto's. Arto's is nothing but it is a real time operating system. So, what are the main feature of this? Let it is definition is written here. Real time system are characterized by consequences that result if logical as well as timing correctness properties of the system are not met. In a simple way, if I try to explain you, the meaning of this is that whatever be the task we are going to execute that task should follow the time guideline, means within given time period the task should be completed. If task is not going to be complete within given time period of within given the period of time, then it means this is not a real time operating system. Okay, so the example of real time operating system are, and one more thing is that whatever be the task we are going to perform within time, it is regardless of the system load. We cannot say that the system was very heavy, there was a heavy load, so that's why our task were not our task is not completed on the given time period. So we cannot say like that. Anyhow, either the load on the system is less or it is more, but our task should be completed within the given time frame. Okay, the example, some example of the real-time operating system are video surveillance, anti-lock braking mechanism, missile guidance, nuclear reactor, radio transmission, etc. Now further, the real-time operating system are divided into two parts. First one is the soft real-time, another one is the hard real-time. What is the soft real-time? Soft real-time operating system is a kind of operating system in which if the system is failed, then it is not catastrophic for the humans, means there is no catastrophic things happens, like video surveillance, radio transmission, online ticket reservation system, etc. Another is hard real time operating system. In the hard real time operating system, if our system is fails, then it will be very catastrophical, like nuclear reactors, vehicle braking system, etc. Now, what, how the exactly real time operating system works? Let we try to explain this with the help of example. So the we try to understand real time operating system with the help of an examples. So let we are taking the example of banking system. All the banking systems are working on real time. So they are, their operating system is a real time operating system. So suppose that there are two close friends, A and B. Okay, this is A and this is B, they are the close friend, and they make a plan to cheat the bank. How they make the plans? The plan is like that they take a meetings and they said that the B person have their own account in the bank, and he give his ATM card to the A person, and they make a plan that sharp 8:30 that person will go to the counter of the cashier, and this person will go to the ATM machines, and he will enter the button here and press the enter button to fetch the money 2000 bir, and the same times he will give that money to the that form bank form to the cashier, and cashier will fetch that money from the bank computer system. So let what happens, suppose that they fix the time at sharp time at 8:30, the this person are working with ATM, and the same time this person is working with the cashier. So what happened, is it possible to cheat the bank in this case? Yes or no? It is not possible. Why? Because the operating system, whatever we bank are using, it's a real time operating system. And what happens, suppose that this person first press the button for the ATM machine after feeding the amounts, then the particular code of that account, this person have some account number into the bank, for the related to that accounts, the code is going to be into the critical section. Critical section means when the machine are counting the notes, so it is in critical states. At that time, if cashier want to fetch money, he cannot fetch the money. Or on the other hand, if cashier press the enter button from his computers and the money are going to be, that particular instruction are going to be execute, at the same times the ATM machine will not be work, and it is not a, the time is given, time frame is given, it is not in minutes and not in second, it is in microseconds. So if cashier first withdraw the money for that persons, then ATM machine will show that there is no money. If within the microsecond gap only, if the this person is fetch money from the ATM, then cashier will show that there is no money in your account. Okay, so in this way, if our systems are working in the real times, then we cannot cheat the system. Okay, it's not possible. But the good thing is that if the system are failure here, some problems are occur, so it's not catastrophic for anyone, like braking system or nuclear reactors. If there is some mistakes happen, the cashier or the bank may be called to that persons and verify the things. Okay, so in this way the real-time operating system work. Now what are the extra things available in real-time operating system as compared to general purpose operating system? The things are, it is deterministic, it is load independent, means the load is more or less, the task will be completed within the time frame. Here one more parameters are available, that is called the task scheduling. Another thing are dynamic memory allocation, interrupt, inter-task communication. All these six functionality are available in the real-time operating system, which is generally not available in the general purpose operating system. Now next is the task level of response. What is this? The time taken between the making a process ready to its execution, means there are some states when the process are going to be executed. So one state is dormitory to ready, another is ready to execution, another is execution to ISR. So there are n number of state. So task level response is the response in which a process are going to be from ready to execution state. Okay, so here background executes only on its turn. So normally the foregrounds are working. Foreground means ISR, and if ISR is finished, means interrupt service routine is finished, then background means main program are going to be run. So the worst case task level response time depend on how long the background loop take to execute. Now next thing is the resources and shared resources. The resources is nothing but it is a task which is used by some programs. Okay, it may be a variable, it may be a structure, or it may be an array. And shared resources are the resources which are used by more than one task. So what is critical section of code? Critical section of code, it's treated individually. Okay, it's never treated in the groups. And another thing is that it must not be interrupted. Let once again we came to the older examples. So here suppose the ATM machines, this person press the button, enter button to fetch the money, and now the ATM machines are counting the money and executing that particular things. So it means for that particular time period, it may be a few seconds, this particular account, whatever be account number this person have, that particular account number is under critical section code. It means at that particular, these are the few seconds only, these particular few seconds the cashier cannot operate some other task belong to the same account number. Okay, so it means this is called the critical section of code. So this is a kind of safety for the real-time operating system. So due to that critical section of code, nobody can cheat the in the real-time operating system. Now come to multitasking. Multitasking means more than one task at the same times. done by the processor. Okay, it may be a background task, it may be a foreground task. What are the advantage of multitasking? The first advantage is that it's maximize the CPU utilizations. It means the CPU never goes here ideal. If the task is available, the CPU try to execute the task. The another example of multitasking is that suppose we are surfing the internet in our computer, at the same time we are listening the music. So it means it's not like that the music are taking the separate time and the surfing to internet are taking the separate time. No, we are dealing in the microprocessor and microcontroller. Micro means the instructions are going to be execute or going to be handled here in microseconds. So it means for 1 microseconds if flow are going to listen the music, for the another microsecond the flow of the computer are going to execute the like whatever be the website we have opening that particular program. Okay, so because the time frame is very small, so it is in microseconds, so we thinks that we are regularly listening the music, but it's not like that. We are listening the music with the gap of microseconds. Okay, so in this way n number of tasks handled by the computer at the same times, like we can play movie also, we can listen the music also, we can surf the internet also on the same day, same times we can execute the MATLAB program also. So n number of tasks are going to be executed at the same times, and this is called the multitasking. So task is nothing, it is a thread, and thread is nothing, it is a kind of program. Okay, so each thread is assigned its own set of CPU register, stack area, and the priority. So in the multiple task, there are some states. First one is dormant, ready, running, waiting, and ISR. What is dormant? Dormant means, like if we take the example of a students, they are available in their dormitory. Okay, they are not outside the university, they are not at their home, they are available in the dormitory. It means if we require to teach them, they can come at any times. Okay, ready means students done morning time, they done their breakfast and now they are ready to come the class. Running means a class are going to be run, the teachers are teaching inside the class. Waiting means suppose some other teachers want to take class in the same lecture room, so they are waiting for the for completion of that running classes. Okay, ISR means interrupt service routine. It means if somebody came from the outside, suppose head of the department came and he call any students or he call to the teachers, so it means complete class are going to be disturbed, so class are going to be interrupted. Okay, so this is called the interrupt service routine. So these are the some multiple task states available in the processor. Next is kernel. What is kernel? Kernel is the core of the processor, and the fundamental service provided the kernel is task switching. So its main work is to switch the task from one pattern to another pattern. Next is context switch. What is the meaning of context switch? Suppose the main program are going to be execute and at the same times the interrupt came. So what happens? The CPU flow, suppose CPU flow are on the some lines of the program, so CPU flow save the context in the CPU registers. Okay, and go to the interrupt. After handling the interrupt, again come to the main programs, and when it's returned to the main program, first it's check where it was previously, so it's load that particular program through the address available into the CPU register and then execute the main program. So this is called the context switching. Let we see context switch with the help of this diagram. Okay, so suppose the main program are going to be execute here. When the flow was here, suddenly when the some interrupt came, so when interrupt came, it means what happens? So the what it will do, it save the state of the program into a counters. Okay, PCB0. Okay, and after saving the state here, again it's go to the flow from where the interrupt came. Suppose interrupt came for this procedure P1. Okay, so it's reload the state of this particular procedure. Okay, and then execute this particular interrupt program. Okay, after executing this one, again it saved its data into its registers. Okay, and again from where it was previously, again it's load its main program data. Okay, and then start executing the main program. So in this case, the main program are executing here, but suddenly interrupt came, so it's switch to the interrupt. It save its program data, it's reload the interrupt data, it's execute the interrupt data here, again save the interrupt data, again reload the main program data, and then execute this one. Okay, so this is the complete way of the context switching. Now if you go to the scheduler, the part of kernel which will be decide the next task to run. Scheduler means it's schedule that which task should be run next. Okay, so in the scheduler there are two type priority based kernel. First one is non-preemptive, another one is preemptive. So what is this preemptive and non-preemptive, that we see later. Okay, what is redundancy? A redundancy functions can be used by more than one task without data corruption. Okay, a redundant functions can be interrupted at any time and resume at a later time without loss of data. Next is mutual exclusion. What is this? In the mutual exclusion, some tasks are happen inside that one. The first one is disabling and enabling the interrupt. If processor want to enable and disable an interrupt, we can do through this one. Test and set. Disabling and enabling the scheduler. Even mutual exclusion also have capability to enable and disable the scheduler also. Another is semaphore. What is this semaphore? It's two kind of semaphore: binary semaphore and counting semaphore. What is the exact meaning of semaphore? It have some functions. What are these? These are the control access to the shared resources. But suppose that we have one resources which is shared by the two different program. So who take care about that? Which resources, which program will be used that particular resources first? So semaphore will take care about that. Okay. Signal occurrence of an event. Allow two tasks to synchronize their activity. Intertask communication means it is a communication between two tasks, so it is through the message mailbox or the message queue. Now the next is deadlock. What is deadlock? When two tasks unknowingly waiting for resources held by each other, this is called the deadlock. This is unknowingly, but let I will give one example when knowingly, a real life example. Suppose that there is a multinational company which require the experience holder person. Okay, there is only one company. Okay, so what happened? Students are graduating from the university. They want to join that particular company, but company requires experienced person. And when the students will go to experience when company will provide them job. So students cannot go to job until they have experience. Okay, and company cannot go to the students as an employee whenever they do not have the experience. Okay, so means this is a deadlock condition. So in this case, what are the solution for that particular? So we have some suggest solution here. These are like acquire the resources in the same order and release the resources in the same order. It means anyone can start it, either company can start it, that we can give the job for freshers also. This much percentage, 10% fresher and 90% experience. When company will give 10% fresher job, then the university fresh graduate can go to the job, and after that they can go some experience. Again they will be considered as a experienced employee and they can go to another company also. Okay, Now interrupt already we have discussed. It is nothing, it is a asynchronous event. It means it can be occur at any time. And what happened when interrupts came? Save the present context, jump to the ISR and execute ISR and return to the again main program. So all these things happens generally when an interrupt came, like here in this examples we have discussed. This is also the interrupt example. Okay. So now what is interrupt latency? One of the important specification of real-time kernels, and longer the interrupt are disabled, the higher the interrupt latency. And what is the equation for interrupt latency? Maximum amount of time interrupt are disabled plus time to start executing the first instruction in the ISR. Okay, means when the program flow go to the ISR. The meaning of this is that. Now, what is the interrupt response? Total interrupt response is interrupt latency plus time to save CPU context. Okay, and in the interrupt response equation, there are two things. One is non-preemptive kernel and preemptive kernel. So, what is the difference in this preemptive and non-preemptive kernel? In the non-preemptive kernels, there is only interrupt latency plus time to save CPU context. In the preemptive kernel, the total time taken is interrupt latency plus time to save CPU context plus execution time of the kernel ISR entry function. Okay. I will explain it in a very simple way. Suppose I am a teacher, I am teaching to you, and the total class time is 2 hours to teach you. From these 2 hours, suddenly the head of the department came and he called me outside in the department. So I went there and he consumed 20 minutes of mine. Okay. So it means how much is the total time taken? According to non-preemptive kernel, 2 hour plus 20 minutes by the head. So total I consume 2 hour 20 minutes. Okay. For the particular class, even the class held only for 2 hours. Okay. So if we consider to the primitive kernel, in this primitive kernels, one more time will be added here. What is that time? I go to the department and come back from the department. So it may take 5 minutes from one side. Okay. So we could not forget these 10 minutes coming and going. So if we talk about the primitive kernel also consider that particular times, means 2 hour class, 20 minutes consumed by the head of the department and 5 minutes coming, 5 minutes going, so 10 minutes these. So the total time consuming by a teacher is 2 hour 30 minutes in the primitive kernel, but in non-primitive kernel it is only 2 hour 20 minutes. Okay. So in this way we can try to understand the primitive and non-primitive kernel time consumption. Okay. So on the interrupt response, a system worst case is its only response. The meaning is that your system may respond to interrupt in 50 microsecond 99% of the time, but if it is respond interrupt in 250 microsecond, the other 1% you must assume 250 microsecond interrupt response time. It means whatever be the worst time for the handling interrupt we have, that is called the interrupt response time. Okay. So interrupt recovery, the time required by the processor to return to the interrupted code, that is called the interrupt recovery. And what is the equation for that? Time to restore the CPU context plus time to execute the return from interrupt instructions. Okay. What is clock tick? The clock tick is a special interrupt that occur periodically, and this interrupt can be viewed as the system heartbeat. And the another function of clock tick is the time between interrupt is application specific, and it is generally 10 to 20 microsecond. Okay. So these were some basic task under the real-time operating system. So this was about the real-time operating system. So thank you student, it was just a basic things related to the real-time operating system. I try to explain here in very short. Okay, so thank you, student.